I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away.
Lord, I give myself away.
Okay. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. Here I am. Here I am. Here I stand. Lord, my life is in your hands. Lord, I'm longing to see your desires revealed in me. Give myself away. I give myself away.
Lord, I give myself
Oh,
away.
God. I give myself away so you can use.
Okay, so what are your views on the Old and New Testament?
Well, something I found interesting about the Old and New Testament is though Satan was painted as like a bad guy and like the Antichrist and all that stuff, I thought it was interesting that he never killed anybody. But based on the Bible, God killed millions upon millions of people in the Old Testament.
What about the New Testament?
Hey, can I address that one real quick?
Go.
So that's a good question, and I love it. It's challenging, but basically, like, all right, let me ask this question, right? In response to that question, when if this all of us were corrupt, right? What if there was no God to stop nothing or to kill anything, right? But since all of us were corrupt, this world would have went into chaos. It would have went into an uproar, right? So there's some descriptions of this in the Bible. Like if you look into Genesis, you'll see that.
Are we talking in Old Testament?
Yeah, Old Testament. This is the beginning of the Bible. If we look into Genesis, we'll see like the Bible describes a time. I don't know if you ever heard of Noah. Noah, in Noah's Ark, there was a time where God was very lenient. He's very patient. You know what I'm saying? And the Bible says that the world began to get so crazy, right? So nuts, and God held back, him from stopping it for so long. The Bible says that man on the earth were doing everything that their hearts imagined to do. All the evil that their hearts imagined to do, they would act upon it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why God killed people in history. And
I think you can ask the question, and I think I wanted to acknowledge it because you said if I were God, what would I do if my creations were doing that? I would just, if I really were God and I cared about them, I would probably just instantly make them all good because I can do any and everything, right? Why not just make them all good?
I love that question.
Look, check it. Learn. Right, but why should they even learn?
I'm about to tell you.
What's the point?
I'm about to tell you, right? So it's like being a father, right? If you're a father and you want children, the reason you want children is because you want sincere love, right? You want sincere love from your children, right? And sincere love is by choice, right? If I created a robot and I said, son, I love you, and that robot said, I love you too, Dad, we know that response is scripted because he programmed that. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why God created us, he created us with free will. And the reason why he did that is because he wanted a real family. He wanted people that would really love him and cherish him, not because they had to or because they were programmed to.
So question, what you're saying is God is a God that's based on vanity and he wants people the adoration of others. Is that what you're saying?
I love that question also.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what it sounds like to me.
No, but you got to check it. See, the Bible also says that God is the Bible also says that God is not like man, right? So to man, it would be vain to think of ourselves as, it would be vain to put the attention on ourselves, to say that I want love. But see, God is not confined to the mentality and the way of thinking that man is. Because man is limited. But God is he's justified in doing this because he's almighty. Right? So, I wish I had an illustration for that. But, go ahead.
I think, it says one time, God is a jealous God, right? We can all agree that I think it said that in the Bible.
Yeah, it said that.
Doesn't jealousy seem like something just so much of a minute person, like a human quality? Like I know people who've got over jealousy, you know what I'm saying? Let alone God. Like that to me that doesn't make sense. If you're supposed to be almighty and all knowing, how can you let a petty emotion like jealousy really affect you that much? So I
was taught that jealousy was a sin, that we weren't supposed to be jealous of anything or anybody.
So
it's a righteous indignation. There's a difference. It's like to be righteously angry versus look at the definition of jealous.
Yeah, that's what because there's a difference, right? People get the word jealous confused with the word covet, right?
Exactly.
And see, when we talk about jealousy, it's most of the time not jealousy, it's coveting, right?
Exactly.
Because most of the time what we're coveting is not ours, right? But God can be jealous, right? God can be jealous. Listen.
Right there.
Yeah, listen.
Break it down.
I got you. But listen, see, that's what's wrong with people in general, is because people put God in the confines of man, right? And they say he should, because he created the laws, he should be restrained to following the laws. But God created the laws for man. He didn't create it for himself. But wait. Let me finish that nugget though. So basically, the reason why God can be jealous, see, jealous, like I said, is related to covetousness, right? Okay. The reason why it's wrong for us is because we're coveting something that's not ours. We do not have ownership of that thing. Oftentimes we covet that. I covet your phone, but that's not mine. Okay. But when God is jealous of something, he's jealous because it's rightfully his. He says, I created this thing, but you guys are turning away. Now I'm a jealous God because now your attention is driven from the one who created you to something else that's artificial. You get what I'm saying?
And the synonym to jealousy is envy.
Right.
It's coveting something that's not yours. When you envy something, it's not yours. So it goes with what he said.
So it brings us back to what I was saying. Doesn't that paint the picture even more that God
is like man?
In a sense, and it's
I
like...
I love the part
but didn't they say that God created man in his own image?
That's right, Y'all funny. So,
go ahead, what?
Oh yeah, just to expound on what he said. See, you're always gonna find traits of God in man, but just be careful not to get it mixed up. It's not traits of man and God. You get what I'm saying? Because we're like he said, created in the likeness and the image of God, according to Paul. So.
My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. Oh God, you're altogether loving, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me.
I remember that you had referenced Noah's Ark, right?
Does it sound like a trumpet?
Do you personally believe that story to be literally true? Why do you believe that? I mean, let me ask you this. Let's take religion out the equation. Just you as a person using your own logic and reasoning, do you believe that would be true? Like every single, every single plant, animal, whatever thing, every single organism on the planet of the Earth on a boat, and they all survived for 40 days, right? 40 nights. They all survived. They all managed to survive miraculously. You say you. Well, you go ahead. Do you believe that literally to be true?
Yes, but I don't think that. And correct me if I'm wrong. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can put your comments in the comments area. No, I'm just like, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that it was plants or anything like that. I think it was more so animals. Okay. And but yes, I do. I think that if God was to put together, some escape plan, for the animals and for Noah and his family, and if God was to do it, I mean, then He has unlimited, then He can do it. You know what I'm saying? But I think when it comes down to it, like I can use logic, and this is from my perspective, my opinion, of course. I can use logic, but I think that sometimes logic can get you in trouble. And not to say that logic is unreasonable, because it's needed. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it.
Well,
you know what I'm
logic
saying?
is reasoning.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. And logic is definitely needed. You need it. But I think that ultimately, I think it just comes down to a little bit of faith, really.
Right.
Because if I look at all those stories and I'm just thinking logically, I would never believe any of the things that I believe. To be honest. But yeah, I think it comes down to faith.
So in a sense, is faith just basically the intentional disregarding of reasonable thinking? Is that what faith is?
No,
Faith
let me
is
ask you
believing.
this. Right,
Faith
it's-
is believing.
right, but
Because
let's
you have
say
to
that-
believe
oh,
in
go ahead.
something. You got to believe in something.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just go off of everything on logic and what you think, because half the time we're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
What about if we're faithfully believing in stuff, like you said, right? How many times will we be wrong then? Will we be wrong half the time then? Well,
I mean, we're always going to be wrong. That's why we have questions.
right. So let me ask you this.
Well, let me,
Okay,
if you don't mind, I just want to answer that first question.
Okay.
You said, is faith, basically, what was
The
your question?
intentional,
Putting aside of logic in a sense?
yeah, kind of, in a sense, yeah.
I think that sometimes faith would require you to put aside what is naturally logical to you. Sometimes, but I don't think that I would define faith as the intentional putting aside of, logic. I think that. Huh? Sorry. Oh yeah, definitely. I would define faith as. Well, the Bible defines faith as this. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen, right? So it's not necessarily we put the focus on avoiding logical reasoning, because it's not always that it's not always that. Sometimes God will say, actually, most of the time God will say, that's common sense, have faith in me, but I didn't tell you to do anything that's contrary to common sense in that specific thing. But there is some times where God will require us or call us to have faith on Him or in Him, even when it's contrary to popular belief or popular logic or common sense. Yeah.
And it wasn't plants and animals. It was just animals. Each species was a male and a female.
Okay, so, and that's a good, I'm glad you brought that up. Each species of every single animal and organism, right? Well, let's not say organism,
just animals.
but would you count, animals, right? So you're telling me a mouse, a deer,
Yes.
and a lion, and all of these, every single animal survived on a ship of limited proportions, very limited proportions, 2 of each continent for 40 days and 40 nights, and they all survived. Nobody died at all. With no incidents at all. That's what, and y'all telling me y'all literally believe that to be
I
true.
mean, if God is as powerful as the Bible says, then yes, I believe that,
Right.
because that's my faith.
Right.
But if you want to speak logically, no, I don't believe that.
Okay.
Because that's something that I would feel like I need to see for myself.
Right, and that's the exact point I have. Like, I think that some people are easily, or we can say that they have more faith than others, which means it's easier to subscribe to that ideology as opposed to other people that be like you would say, I would need to see a little bit more evidence before I set up there and put 100% into it like that. You know what I'm saying?
I think that oftentimes that people, like you said, subscribe to a perspective of only logical reasoning. You know what I'm saying? And I think that as somebody who subscribes to the faith,
Right.
I think that Christ.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think that as somebody who subscribes to Jesus, I think that the Bible would call us not to live a perspective of. I think that
You lost your train of thought.
no, not necessarily. I think that the Bible will call us not to just subscribe to a faith perspective, but I think that God would say, have faith and logic. You know what I'm saying? Have faith and wisdom. I think that sometimes we are misrepresented or misportrayed by people who have blind faith. And not to say that faith is ever wrong, because I don't think it's ever wrong. But I think oftentimes that, because the Bible says use wisdom as well. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if you're about to kick a block with no shoes on, and you're like, I'm having faith that my toe is gonna be straight, but you just kick the wall, and that's like illogical faith in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But I think that when you subscribe to the faith, that you subscribe to faith in God, whatever He's telling you. But at the same time, logical reasoning in a sense. But you also have to put your faith and apply that to the facts that the Bible states that God is all powerful and He's all sovereign. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So.
And what I want to say is, when God asks you to have faith, He's not asking you for yourself. He's asking you to, He can show His power in it. So if He's telling you to have faith in something, trust and believe you're going to be able to do it, because He's strengthening you to do whatever it is that He asks of you to do.
Okay.
So if it's one thing to have faith in God and then have false hope, because if God said that's not for you, and you're hoping and praying for this thing that He already told you is not for you, that's false hope. It's something that's not really given. Anything God say, be faithful in Him, He's going to sustain you in it.
I just usually when people talk, they talk more so of themselves. That's just people. So what you're doing is you're talking pretty much of yourself right now. You're saying that right now that you need to see God. You need to see Him personally for yourself. And I believe even that you have told Him that that's what you want. That's what you need. And if He doesn't do that, then that's not good enough for you. But I can tell you right now what God is telling you. He's telling you, I'm calling for you to do a little bit more. I'm asking you to believe a little bit, just a little bit. Before I even show you more of me, I'm asking you to believe a little bit more that I'm here, so that He can show Himself real to you.
God, we've all had our evidence through encounters with God, because unless God is standing there in all His glory, we're never gonna believe it, because our human nature goes against who God is for real. We're always gonna be at an enemy with God. But like I said, everybody here has had an encounter with God, and that to us, that's tangible.
Read between the lines.
That was so awkward.
Get it.